What's up, beautiful people? Today we're going to talk about 40 lessons that I learned before and after 40. So whether you're approaching 40, over 40, trust me, this list is full of nuggets. Some of these lessons I definitely wish I would have learned way before 40, but that's okay. And some of these lessons I actually learned at the appropriate times in life. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about around the age that those things resonated with me. So don't worry, I know how important your time is. So we're going to break this down into love and relationships, career, finances, purpose, lifestyle, all of the elements that all of us seek to be balanced women. And don't worry, it's going to be less than 15 minutes because I also know of one thing, lesson that I've learned: time is of the essence. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we're going to start off with some love and relationship lessons that I learned definitely on the upside of 40. Some of them a little bit later than others, but this one I'm coming out the gate as a hot take. The right person makes your life easier, not harder. If you are in your 20s, sis, please grasp that and resonate with it. Actually, no matter what age you are, the right person makes life easier, not harder. Your partner is not your project. Friendship quality is so much more important than friendship quantity. Get you one or two ride or die friends and roll with them. You don't need to have 25 bridesmaids in your wedding. You don't have to be besties with every one of your sorority sisters. Find the people that are in your tribe and roll with them. And then for life and purpose, saying no sometimes creates the opportunity for yes later down the line. Being able to walk away from something that you don't need right now by saying no, I promise you, if it's meant for you, it's gonna come back around down the line later. Your purpose can evolve. It is not set in stone. Even if your degree says accounting or teaching, or you went to school to be a dentist, your purpose, your career, your pathway, it absolutely can evolve. And quite honestly, if you're living a healthy and fulfilled life, it will evolve. Number 7, and you've heard this one before, comparison is the thief of joy. Do not let it rob you. And let me make this even more clear, especially for those of you who are under 40, who have grown up under the just life of social media and the access to phones and who's driving what and who's going on this vacation. Let comparison go now. If you can let it go now, it's gonna make you such a happier person down the line. A is a purpose, but you could probably put it with finances too, and that is not every hobby needs to be a side hustle. That's a word for somebody. And speaking of finances, these are definitely some financial tips on the front side of 40 that you definitely need to get a hold of right now. And that is invest early. I promise you, whether you're investing $20, $15, $150, whether your company is matching your contributions for retirement, the interest that you will accrue over time is going to pay dividends. I know you're looking at your balance, especially in this economy with the stock market, and thinking it's going up and down, but you're not about to retire anytime soon if you're on the upside of 40 anyway. So go ahead and start investing now. Financial independence is actually true independence. When you don't owe anyone any money, that is the type of freedom that is just so freeing. When you are not in a situation where you are tied and your whole paycheck belongs to somebody else, that's the type of freedom that you need to strive to be. And you do not have to be rich to have that type of freedom. Number 11, and if my kids were in here, they would roll their eyes because this is drilled in their heads. Emergency funds prevent emergency decisions. An emergency fund prevents emergency decisions. When you have a stable emergency fund, and everyone should be trying to start off with something small, just $1,000, that allows you the freedom in an emergency situation to not always have to make drastic decisions. Your emergency fund, and this is a lesson that I still struggle with, is meant to be used for emergencies, and they will happen. So have a fund ready to go. Understand the difference between assets and liabilities. That is true for your finances, but it's also true for people. All right, so let's talk a little bit about career before 40. And this one I did not want to believe, but if I'm being perfectly honest with you, a lot of my career opportunities are directly tied to this particular lesson. Your network can create opportunity. I hate to say sometimes it's who you know, but y'all, it is true. Who you know and who is in your network can open up doors or close doors that you may not even know are there. So don't take that for granted. Strengthen those relationships. Don't have fake artificial relationships, but be very mindful of the people that you surround yourself, especially when it comes to your career. Number 14, and if any time in life is showing that now, skills matter more than degrees. I'm sure a lot of us know people that have whole degrees and can't even find a job. So make sure you have a skill set that's marketable and that could be used in the workforce. 15, document your wins when it comes time for promotions. Now, depending on the type of field that you work in, this may be a little bit more advantageous than others. I work in education, so I don't necessarily know that this will come up a lot, but if you're definitely in corporate, make sure that you're keeping track of your wins. And then number 16, learn to negotiate. Everything is negotiable, and you will know when it's time to not negotiate. Number 17, sleep is a non-negotiable, and it's productivity fuel for your body. Now, I learned this lesson. Do I always execute on this lesson, even though I've known this lesson since probably my 20s or 30s? Not all the time, but I'm hoping it's one that you learn now. And I know you feel like you could sleep tomorrow, but if you could start a pattern of healthy sleeping now, it is going to help your body rejuvenate, and it will help you be healthy. Number 18, stress management is a skill worth mastering. So find something that's going to de-escalate you no matter what that outlet is, as long as it's healthy, and grab a hold of it now. Movement you enjoy is better than exercise that you dread. I have recently injured myself and finally was able to run again this morning, and I love running, and it made my whole day, my whole weekend just changed because I was finally able to get outside and run. And then number 20, prevention is a lot easier than management and recovery. So if you can avoid putting yourself in an adverse physical situation or in any kind of situation, try to do it now. So before we even go on any further, I went through those 20 lessons pretty quickly. Which one of those 20 lessons, especially if you haven't hit 40 or you're just hitting 40, do you feel like that you've learned and has been the most valuable? Or did you hear a lesson that you're like, dang, I need to go ahead and grab a hold of that now? All right, so if you are over 40, these are definitely lessons that you should be learning or have already learned, and it's definitely not too late to learn. But love and relationships and the dynamic looks a little bit different once you get over 40 than it is pre-40. So here is lesson 21. Quality time trumps anything, so be present. Now, I can honestly say this is a lesson that I am mindful of, and it really just escalated when my mother passed away, because then it made my mortality a lot more real for me, and then that made me more conscious of being present when, like, when my husband's talking to me, my kids are talking to me, when I'm in an experience, when I'm on a trip, to just sit back and take it in. So be present, because time is not promised. 22, forgiveness is for you and not for them. 23, vulnerability creates connection. And for all of my strong, independent type A Virgos talking to myself, when you have the ability to be a lot more vulnerable, it makes you more approachable. It makes people connect to you more. And then that allows you to have deeper connections and learn lessons along the way. Choose carefully who gets your energy. It is limited. 25. Life and purpose, y'all. The second act can be better than the first act all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. Regret comes from what you didn't do, not what you did do. And just as a side note, one of the things that people that have lived to be 100, there's documentation and research on this, and they talk about the things that they would go back and do and regret, and they always talk about the things that they didn't do, that they remember the things that they wanted to do that they didn't do. So you get this one life, you get this one journey, do the things that you want to do. Start the YouTube channel, write the book, buy the camera, go on the trip, be responsible with it, but you only get one trip on this earth. As you get older, your intuition, it gets stronger. You have some life experiences, sis. You better listen to them, because that gut be knowing as you get older. I promise you that. Number 28, your legacy is built on your small daily actions. Stop trying to do this major grandiose thing that you're going to leave this planet. Your legacy is going to be by the little things that you do each and every day that accumulate over the lifetime that you're here on this earth. All right, finances over 40. Lifestyle inflation is the enemy of wealth. Just because you got a raise doesn't mean it needs to go to that. You don't need another one of those things that you're thinking about buying that you've been looking on Amazon. Put it back. Multiple incomes can create security. Now, I'm going to put an asterisk next to that one, because that doesn't mean that you have to have multiple jobs or multiple hustles, but it does mean that it makes sense as you get older to have a path to retirement that is going to come from multiple places. As I get closer to retirement, I have my actual retirement that I've paid into through the state. I have my actual retirement that I've paid into privately. I have rental properties that I own. And so there's a multiple pathways to have a more comfortable later part of life. So just be mindful, but make sure the main one is tight. but do not feel the pressure to have others if you don't have access to have others. Baby, you better know your numbers at this age and track what's going on, because by the time you get to 40, you're probably closer and deeper in your career than probably when you're in 20s or 30s, unless you switched careers. And so you need to be very mindful of what it looks like and the lifestyle that you live now. Do you want to keep living that lifestyle when it comes time to stop working and make some decisions right now that are going to put you in a situation later where you have options? Because not having options is not really where you want to be. 32, another one of the top 5 that would be on this: give abundantly. Now, you have heard me talk about tithing, and that is for whoever feels compelled to do it. I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that because I tithe, God has made things happen miraculously. God has opened up doors, and not always financial doors. It's instilled in me, and you can feel how you want to feel about it. And giving abundantly doesn't mean you have to necessarily give back to your church, but give abundantly of your time, your resources, your money. Give abundantly. Don't be selfish. You're not going to leave this earth with any of your possessions. And on your career over 40, use your experience as leverage, especially if you've been in the same field for a while. You are the seasoned vet. Own it and execute it and use it to your advantage at this point in your career. Mental health is non-negotiable. This really is a lesson that should be in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. It's kind of part of my job, so I get to see it up close every day. But y'all, mental health is not something that you get to later. Mental health is something that you make a part of your self-care every single part of your life. Hormonal health impacts everything, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't know about those changes and perimenopause and all that. That's just something I have not experienced. But as I get older and I'm talking to my friends or I'm talking to people that I know, I can see the impact it's making. So do not be afraid to go to your doctor and get connected with the resources and the tools that are gonna help you balance out that part of life. And then number 40, joy and laughter are medicine. Schedule them into your life. Create the opportunities to just live your life. I've talked about it so many times, but me and my husband do date night every single Friday. My daughter and I go to the Saints games during football season. We go on a family trip for Christmas. There are just things that I'm gonna make sure happen in my life so that I can have the laughter, the joy, the presence of my family and the people that I love. So these 40 lessons have shaped my life, and I am sure there are lessons on here that I didn't even talk about that you have experienced. So what I would love to know, if there was a lesson that resonated with you, leave a comment down below, or if there's a lesson that I left off that you think that people need to know, go ahead and leave the comment down below and why it is so critical and so essential. I'm really encouraging you not to treat this as a checklist and have to say I've learned every single of these lessons. There's different seasons and different experiences that I've had, that you've had, that may have led us to different paths. The ultimate goal is to step back, reflect, and think about whether you are before or after 40, and think about where you need to focus. As always, I thank y'all so much. Please do not forget to comment and definitely subscribe if this video resonated with you, and I will see you all in the next video.